Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudire nashtu prayeshu vadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttam shloke bhaktir bhavati nashtaki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, today we are starting new chapter, chapter 23, the Shishumar Planetary Systems. Text 1, translation. Shukdev Goswami continued, My dear king, 1.3 million yojans, 10.4 million miles above the planets of the seven sages is a place that learned scholars describe as the abode of Lord Vishnu. There, the son of Maharaj Uttanpa, the great devotee Maharaj Dhruv, still resides as a life source of all the living entities who live until the end of the creation. Agni, Indra, Prajapati, Kashyap, and Dharma all assemble there to offer him honor and respectful obeisances. They circumambulate him with their right sides towards him. I have already described the glorious activities of Maharaj Dhruv. So Dhruv Maharaj resides 1.3 million yojans above the planets of the seven sages. Wow. Text 2. Established by the supreme will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the pole star, which is a planet of Maharaj Dhruva, constantly shines as a central pivot for all the stars and planets. The unsleeping, invisible, most powerful time factor causes these luminaries to revolve around the pole star without cessation. It is distinctly stated herein that all the luminaries, the planets and stars, revolve by the influence of supreme time factor. The time factor is another feature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Everyone is under the influence of the time factor, but the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind and loves his devotee Maharaj Dhruv that so much that he has placed all the luminaries under the control of Dhruva's planet and has arranged for the time factor to work under him or with his cooperation. Everything is actually done according to the will and direction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But to make his devotee Dhruva the most important individual within the universe, the Lord has placed the activities of the time factor under his control. Wow. So Lord is so pleased with the austerities, with the devotion of Maharaj Dhruv. And that too, remember, he just did austerities for 6 months. That's it. We don't know what he did in the previous life. That we don't know. I don't know. Maybe in some Quran it is mentioned. But the Lord is so pleased with him that Prabhupada here is saying the Lord has placed the activities of the time factor under his control. And he is the center of the whole universe. And everything, everybody is rotating around him. Text 3. When bulls are yoked together and tied to a central post to thresh rice, they tread around that pivot without deviating from their proper positions. One bull being closest to the post, another in the middle, and the third on the outside. Similarly, all the planets and all the hundreds and thousands of stars revolve around the pole star, the planet of Maharaj Dhruv, in their respective orbits, some higher and some lower. Fastened by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to the machine of material nature, according to the results of their fruitive acts, they are driven around the pole star by the wind and will continue to do so until the end of creation. These planets float in the air within the vast sky, just as clouds with hundreds of tons of water float in the air, or as a great Shayana, Shane eagles, due to the results of past activities, fly high in the sky and have no chance of falling to the ground. And and the wonderful thing is, all these planets, all the luminaries, all the stars, they're rotating around, revolving around the pole star. And what's the battery there? There is no battery. I guess they just get the energy from the sun to go around. Something has to move them. According to the description of this verse, the hundreds and thousands of stars and great planets such as Sun, the Moon, the Venus, Mercury, Mars, Jupiter are not clustered together because of the law of gravity or any similar idea of the modern scientists. These planets and stars are all servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Govinda or Krishna. And according to his order, they sit in their chariots and travel in their respective orbits. The orbits in which they move are compared to machines given by material nature to the operating deities of the stars and planets who carry out the orders of the Supreme Personality of Godhead by revolving around Dhruva Loka, which is occupied by the great devotee Maharaj Dhruv. This is confirmed in the Brahma Samhita as follows. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, under whose control even the sun, which is considered to be the eye of the Lord, rotates within the fixed orbit of eternal time. The sun is the king of all planetary systems and has unlimited potency in heat and light. This verse from Brahma Samhita confirms that even the largest and most powerful planet, the sun, rotates within a fixed orbit or Kal Chakra, in obedience to the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This has nothing to do with gravity or any other imaginary laws created by the material scientists. So scientists, they cannot understand how all the planets are moving around. But as Prabhupada mentioned here, all these planets, whether Mars or Mercury, Venus, we heard about Sun and Moon, they're all persons. And this is their body. That is the body. And they all are moving according to the according to the directions or in obedience to the laws of the Supreme Lord. It's mind-boggling. It's just completely mind-boggling. Material scientists want to avoid the ruling government of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore they imagine different conditions under which they suppose the planets move. The only condition, however, is the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the various predominating deities of the planets are persons. And the Supreme Personality of Godhead is also a person. The Supreme Personality orders the subordinate persons, the demigods of various names, to carry out his supreme will. This fact is also confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, where Krishna says, Maya Dhakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacha. This material nature is working under my direction, son of Kunti, and it is producing all moving and unmoving beings. By its rule, this manifestation is created and annihilated again and again. And just imagine Mother Earth. Now we call her Mother Earth. Now that is a person, Bhudevi, and this is her body that we are sitting on. And such a huge body she has, but that is Bhudevi, and she's moving at her pace, at the orbit she was allowed to for such a long time. Of course, we are so ungrateful people that we try to mess up Mother Earth. But she is still maintaining us. Why? Because it's the order of the Supreme Personality of God. I was watching this video, this documentary on how Alexander the Great, well, I don't know why they call him the Great, or Alexander, how he started conquering the world. And from Greece he started, and then Persia and so many other places. He went around killing so many people. And then there was this Mongolian Empire, Genghis Khan, and he killed so many people. It is said that he almost killed like 1/3 of the population of the earth. And so many different empires. But the earth, the land is still there, the mountains, the rivers, all these are still there. All these kings came and gone, and they said, we control this earth. This is my land. And where is Genghis Khan now? Where is this? Where are his descendants? Can they claim this piece of land belongs to us? And where is Alexander? And Prabhupada explained that in Greece, his statue is just on one of the intersections. That's it. And he was a great ruler. He had conquered the whole earth, or whatever that he conquered. Earth is still there. Mountains are still there. Rivers are still there. Seas are still there. And this is real Maya, actually. We think we are the conquerors. We are the controllers. We are the proprietors. I got this much land and this much property. Very soon it will be gone. Means our control will be gone. The property will be there. Everything actually is under the control, under the proprietorship of Krishna. And he clearly says that. But we don't understand, or we don't follow that. The orbits of the planets resemble the bodies in which all living entities are seated, because they are both machines controlled by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities, who are seated as on a machine made of the material energy. The machine given by material nature, whether the machine of the body or the machine of the orbit or Kal Chakra, works according to the orders given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Supreme Personality of Godhead and material nature work together to maintain this great universe. And not only this universe, but also the millions of other universes beyond this one. The question of how the planets and stars are floating is also answered in this verse. It is not because of the laws of gravity. Rather, the planets and the stars are enabled to float by manipulations of the air. And that's why it is called, in the shloka it says, the wind. The planets float in the air within the vast sky, and they are driven around the pole star by the wind. It is due to such manipulations that big, heavy clouds float and big eagles fly in the sky. Modern airplanes like the 747 jet aircraft work in a similar way. By controlling the air, they float high in the sky, resisting the tendency to fall to earth. Such adjustments of the air are all made possible by the cooperation of the principles of Purusha, male, and Prakriti, female. By the cooperation of material nature, which is considered to be Prakriti, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is considered the Purusha, all the affairs of the universe are going on nicely in their proper order. Prakriti, material nature, also described in Brahma Samhita as follows. So all these activities are done because of this cooperation between Purusha and Prakriti. The external potency, Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of the Chit, spiritual potency, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance with whose will Durga conducts herself. Material nature, the external energy of the Supreme Lord, is also known as Durga, or the female energy that protects the great fort of this universe. The word Durga also means fort. This universe is just like a great fort in which all the conditioned souls are kept, and they cannot leave it unless they are liberated by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this Durga, material energy, and the personification of that material energy is Durga. And she is the one controlling the whole universe as a service to the Lord. And as Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, that only by his mercy one can get out of this Durga, or Durg, or the fort. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. Thus, simply by Krishna consciousness, by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can be liberated, or in other words, one can be released from the great fort of this universe and go outside it to the spiritual world. It's also significant that the predominating deities of even the greatest planets have been offered their exalted posts because of the very valuable pious activities they performed in previous births. This is indicated herein by the words karma nirmita gatyaha. For example, as we have previously discussed, the moon is called Jiva, which means that he is a living entity like us. But because of his pious activities, he has been appointed to his post as a moon god. Similarly, all the demigods are living entities who have been appointed to their various posts as the masters of the moon, the earth, the Venus, and so on, because of their great service and pious acts. Only the predominating deity of the sun, Surya Narayan, is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of God. Maharaj Dhruv, the predominating deity of Dhruv, is also a living entity. Thus, there are two kinds of entities, the Supreme Entity, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the ordinary living entity, the Jiva. All the demigods are engaged in the service of the Lord, and only by such an arrangement are the affairs of the universe going on. It is simply inconceivable. Regarding the great eagles mentioned in this verse, it is understood that, okay, now this is also very mind-boggling. It is understood that there are eagles so big that they can prey on big elephants. They fly so high that they can travel from one planet to another. They start flying in one planet and land in another. And while in flight, they lay eggs that hatch into other birds while falling through the air. Now, how do we understand this? Only by the words of Prabhupada. Otherwise, there's no other way to correlate that. In Sanskrit, such eagles are called shena. Under the present circumstances, of course, we cannot see such huge birds, but at least we know of eagles that can capture monkeys and then throw them down to kill and eat them. Similarly, it is understood that there are gigantic birds that can carry off elephants, kill them, and eat them. The two examples of the eagle and the cloud are sufficient to prove that flying and floating can be made possible through the adjustments of the air. The planets, in a similar way, are floating because material nature adjusts the air according to the orders of the Supreme Lord. It could be said that these adjustments constitute the law of gravity. But in any case, one must accept that these laws are made by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The so called scientists have no control over them. The scientists can falsely, improperly declare that there is no God, but this is not a fact. And also, law of gravity. Newton discovered law of gravity. He did not create the law of gravity. The laws are given by the Lord. The whole nature work under the law of this Lord, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But we just discover those laws. We think we have discovered those laws. We have understood those laws properly. And then we get all kinds of awards and Nobel Prize or this or that. But everything is made by Krishna himself, or his energies have made everything. Just like for flying, eagles and clouds, they fly through the adjustment of the air. Eagles fly, clouds float through the adjustment of the air. So that has been going on since the beginning of creation. So inventors, they figure out and how by controlling this or that, we can also fly, and then they make the airplanes that can fly. And then the airplanes become more and more sophisticated, more and more fast, and this or that. But the principle of flying has been there. Birds have been flying since the beginning of time. So we understood to whatever extent, and then we tried to make some machines to imitate that, but still we cannot completely imitate the flying of birds. Can we make an airplane or a helicopter flying machine as small as a mosquito, or like little bugs that they fly, and they can land anywhere and everywhere? We cannot do that. But this flying has been going on. Text 4. This great machine consisting of the stars and planets resembles the form of a shishumar or dolphin in water. It is sometimes considered an incarnation of Krishna, Vasudeva. Great yogis meditate upon Vasudeva in this form because it is actually visible. Transcendentalists such as yogis whose minds cannot accommodate the form of the Lord prefer to visualize something very great, such as the Virat Purusha. Therefore, some yogis contemplate this imaginary Shishumar to be swimming in the sky the way a dolphin swims in water. They meditate upon it as a Virata Rupa, the gigantic form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's why it's called Shishumar, planetary system. Shishumar, it looks like, resembles the form of a dolphin. Text 5. This form of Shishumar has its head downwards and the body coiled. On the end of its tail is a planet of Dhruva. On the body of its tail are the planets of demigods, Prajapati, Agni, Indra, and Dharma. And at the base of its tail are the planets of the demigods, Dhata and Vidhata. Where the hips might be on the Shishumar are the 7 saintly sages like Vasishtha and Angira. The coiled body of the Shishumar chakra turns towards its right side, on which the 14 constellations from Avijit to Punarvasu are located. On its left side are the 14 stars from Pushya to Uttarashadha. Thus, its body is balanced because its sides are occupied by an equal number of stars. On the back of Shishumar is a group of stars known as Ajaviti, and on its abdomen is a Ganges that flow in the sky, the Milky Way. Text 6. On the right and left sides of where the loins might be on the Shishmar chakra are the stars named Punarvasu and Pushya. Ardra and Ashlesha are on its right and left feet. Abhijit and Uttarashad are on its right and left nostrils. Shravana and Purva Shadha are its right and left eyes, and Dhanishta and Mula are on its right and left ears. The 8 stars from Magha to Anuradha, which mark the southern course, are on the ribs of the left of its body, and the 8 stars from Mrigashirsha and the Purva Bhadra, which mark the northern course, are on the ribs on the right side. Shatabhisha and Jeshta are on the right and left shoulders. Text 7. On the upper chin of the Shishumar is Agasti, on its lower chin Yamaraj, on its mouth Mars, on its genitals Saturn, on the back of its neck Jupiter, on its chest the Sun, and within the core of its heart Narayana. Within its mind is the moon, on its navel Venus, and on its breast the Ashwini Kumaras. Within its life air, which is known as Pranapan, is Mercury, on the neck is Rahu, all over the body are comets, and in its pores are the numerous stars. Next page. My dear king, the body of the Shishumar, as thus described, should be considered the external form of the Lord, or external form of Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Morning, noon, and evening, one should silently observe the form of the Lord as the Shishumar Chakra and worship him with this mantra. O Lord, who has assumed the form of time, O resting place of all the planets moving in different orbits, O master of all demigods, O supreme person, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you and meditate upon you. So we'll just cover the last verse. 9th, the body of the Supreme Lord Vishnu, which forms a Sushumar Chakra, is a resting place of all the demigods and all the stars and planets. One who chants this mantra to worship the Supreme Person 3 times a day, morning, noon, and evening, will surely be freed from all sinful reactions. If one simply offers his obeisances to this form or remembers this form 3 times a day, all his recent sinful activities will be destroyed. Just imagine. Now, in this Virat Rupa, it's a material form, but just by worshipping it because it's a form of the Lord and remembering it, one's sinful activities will be destroyed. Summarizing the entire description of the planetary systems of the universe, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that one who is able to meditate upon this arrangement as a Virat Rupa or Vishwa Rupa, the external body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and worship him 3 times a day by meditation, will always be free from all sinful reactions. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur estimates that Dhruv Loka, the pole star, is 3.8 million yojans above the sun. Above Dhruv Loka by 10 million yojans is Maharloka. Above Maharloka, 20 million yojans is Janaloka. Above Janaloka by 80 million yojans is Tapoloka. And above Tapoloka, 120 million yojans is Satyaloka. Thus, the distance from the sun to Satyaloka is 233.8 million yojans, or plenty of miles. I don't know how to read that even. The Vaikuntha planets begin 26.2 million yojans above Satyaloka. Thus, the Vishnu Puran describes that the covering of the universe is 260 million, or 2,080 million miles away from the sun. The distance from sun to the earth is 100,000 yojans. And below the earth by 70,000 yojans are 7 lower planetary systems called Atal, Vital, Sutal, Talatal, Mahatal, Rasatal, and Patal. Below these lower planets by 30,000 yojans, Sheshnag is lying on the Garbhodak ocean. That ocean is 249.8 million yojans deep. Thus, the total diameter of the universe is approximately 500 million yojans or 4 billion miles. Wow. Only thing I wanted to say, the distance from the sun to earth is 100,000 yojans. And this also comes in Hanuman, what's that? Yug Sahasra Yojan Parabhanu Lilyotai Madhura Faljan. Right? That verse comes. So Sahasra Yojan Parabhanu. So one yug is 100. So Yug Sahasra Yojan Parabhanu Lilyotai Madhura. In Hanuman Chalisa, this verse comes. So everything is so scientific and presented by Shukdev Goswami here and mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, which is written down 5,000 years ago, but this has been in vogue or in knowledge since time immemorial, since the beginning of creation. And scientists, astronomers have still not figured out everything in the universe. They still don't know everything. It's all mentioned here in detail. So anyway, we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्णा माता।
प्रभु जी सिचुएशन ऐसी हो गई है, समझ नहीं आ रहा, फिर नेक्स्ट आ जाता है।
कोई नहीं।
वो छोटा बच्चा होता है ना, नर्सरी का, बुक्स पढ़ा दिया जाए तो समझ नहीं आता उसको कि करे क्या, देखता ही रहता है।
इसमें कुछ भी नहीं समझ में आने वाला, सीधी सी बात।
मतलब जो पिछले 3-4 दिन से क्लासेस ले रहे हैं, 5 दिन से, वो ऐसा लग रहा है कि हाँ अब ये वाला तो ठीक है, अब आगे देखते हैं, वो उससे भी ज्यादा है।
अभी और भी आएगा आगे, ये पूरा कैंटो ही ऐसा है। There are 2 or 3 chapters left. Don't worry.
Yeah, go ahead. Mayapur, and the temple opens. There we will understand a little.
But even after the temple opens, it will take them long time to make this model.
Okay. Yeah, after the model,
Because
we will go there and we will get some understanding.
And even after the model, because they had approached me also when I was in the museum, and the discussion was going on, because in the model, Prabhupada's instruction is all the planets also should rotate at the speed mentioned in Bhagavatam. It should not be a stationary model. It is possible now. No, it is going to be like a model speed, not exact speed. If Earth is moving at that speed and Sun, oh God, it is going to be a complex model, very, very complex.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, there was a movie called Gravity in which George Clooney was on the universe, and somehow I don't know, he was, one chair was fitted with that satellite or something, and that got detached. I mean, one guy was there with him, and that was detached, and he was just vanished somewhere on the universe. So Prabhuji, wo scene on the universe, if somebody has seen it on IMAX, it's so horrific कि मतलब पूरा it's all dark, and then वो उसको रोक नहीं पा रहा है, and then it's just डिटैच होके कहीं गायब हो गया, और फिर थोड़ी दूर पे उसे दिख रहा है कि एक डेड बॉडी है चेयर के ऊपर एंड वो रोटेट हो रहा है. हाँ, मतलब सो वास्ट, यूनिवर्स इज सो वास्ट.
Yeah, look at
कैसे
these
बनाया होगा?
dimensions, these figures.
Absolutely, Prabhuji.
And on top of it, it is said this is the smallest universe in the whole creation. What about the other universes? That must be huge, very, very big. Can't imagine.
Amazing, Prabhuji, amazing.
No, to imagine these things in the universe, it is like the frog in the well. Like
Yeah.
Correct, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's all it is. That's all it is. Cannot understand anything. Chalo, so I guess we can stop here. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Jai
Hare
Shri
Krishna
Prabhupada.
Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Prabhupada.